Hello and welcome to my next chess video here. This time again the Russian defense or the Petrov defense. This time I let Stockfish from the 1st of May 2018 play against Fritz 11. Stockfish is white, Fritz 11 is black, and this is the opening position I gave them, and this position arises after those moves. Here the Petrov defense again, white took, now we have the move d6, white went back, black took here, knight c3, black took the knight, white takes here, black plays the move bishop here, and Stockfish comes up with the move bishop to d3. So maybe if castling, then h5, and if knight c6, then I don't know if the Greek gift works here though, because you have the move bishop to f5. But let's see. Takes, king takes, knight checks, king goes back, queen here threatening mate, but yeah, bishop to f4 defends this, so this doesn't work. So probably not h4, but yeah, maybe castling by Fritz, castling by Stockfish probably, and now something like knight to c6 maybe, followed by maybe even something like this to bring the bishop on the diagonal. But before all that, maybe okay, Fritz doesn't castle. Fritz plays knight c6 immediately. I will play h3 to stop any bishop to g4. So now castling, maybe b3, rook e8, threaten some discovered checks, castling, bishop e3, bishop b2, maybe something like this, followed by c5, and then you have two beautiful bishops lined up to black's king. But this is just, yeah, maybe something like this. But Stockfish of course plays a better move, or at least I think it's a better move. Stockfish plays the move bishop to e3. I will play now bishop to g3, to g4, pinning this knight. Then Stockfish maybe goes with h3 and castling. And then Fritz can also castle. And then let's see. Or maybe even Stockfish doesn't castle here. Plays instead queen here to castle queen side. So then we could have opposite sides castling. Then maybe something like d5, king b1, knight here. The knight is pinned, of course, so you cannot capture it. But maybe h3, capturing there, capturing there, capturing there, and capturing there, and then maybe c5, followed by rook h to b8, threatening to b1 to g1, threatening something like bishop here. But well, this is not threat yet, so maybe even this. Followed by b5, maybe some attack on the queen side, because this you can always parry with that move, so this is not a problem. At least I don't, maybe it is. Takes, and queen h6, and there is now no defense against this checkmate right here, because queen f6 does nothing, because you just take the queen, the bishop is still pinned, to the king, so maybe there is a threat. So, but okay, we don't have any of this. This is just analyze it. We don't have bishop g4. We have bishop f6. Putting the bishop on a better diagonal. And yeah, let's see. Maybe we still can have opposite colored bishops. Maybe something like queen e2 or queen d2. Maybe this to threaten some discover check, but no, I don't like this. I like this more, because putting the queen on the e-file when the rook can come on the e-file. So maybe something like this. Castles, and I don't know, bishop g4 maybe, although bishop g4 does not that much. Just king b8, and then maybe knight here, maybe even sacrifice a knight, or maybe even not king b1, but rather that move. Oh no, this also does nothing. So maybe king b1, followed by knight e5. Now maybe taking here, taking there, f4, f5, followed by h3. Now the bishop is under scrutiny. Oh well, no, this doesn't work. You kind of cannot take because the rook would hang. What to do here? Maybe something like bishop there or bishop here to defend the knight, but then you can just take, and go on with some kingside attack. b5, queenside attack, b5, b4, bishop there, threatening bishop takes, same line, for example this is the threat now, and there is no defense again. So you'd have to defend against this, and how to defend against this? Maybe king h8. Maybe king h8. Now the bishop is threatened. So maybe the bishop moves back, but then this kind of doesn't make sense. b4 takes, and queen here. So if you take, then this is gonna be mate. So you cannot take. And then maybe something like this, and a5 to break down the queen side. So this looks pretty interesting for both sides. This kind of opposite castling scenario. Okay, we have queen e2 by Stockfish. This move I kind of don't like that much. Just castling here, castling there, and rook e1 pinning the rook e8, pinning the bishop. But this is not no threat right now. King b1 maybe, and now bishop g4 pinning all of white's pieces. Then maybe h4, threatening some bishop check on h7, for example, if black does nothing, for example trying to get some queenside attack in, then bam, bishop takes h7, king takes h7, knight check, discovered attack on the bishop, bishop takes, pawn takes, and yeah, again check, and then you can take the bishop and you won a pawn and have the open h-file. So probably not something like this. So after h4, maybe king h8, but then maybe h5, followed by h3, h6. So h6 by black, but then maybe queen to d2 to threaten some bishop takes, pawn takes, for example, again, this one. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check, king here, bishop here, checked, king has to go back, bishop here, check, king has to go there, check, standard mating pattern, and this is gonna be checkmate. So you'd have to defend against this threat on taking here. So maybe something like queen to d7, so that after this kind of check, 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 but now the queen, the pawn is pinned to the queen, so maybe this still works, because now you have this move, threatening a mate in one. Well, this is not threatening anything because the bishop is still on this square right here. So yeah, probably it doesn't work. This bishop sacrifice, it would be enough for a draw, but yeah, okay. Bishop g4, rook e1, bishop g4, h4, a5, bishop, no, not a5. What to do? Bishop here is threatened, so maybe h5 by black. But then maybe still queen here. And if ever bishop takes, then pawn takes, opening the g file, and this should be leadful. If white is greedy, takes a pawn right here, then the other rook comes to the g file, and then you have a half-open h file and a half-open g file to work with. And something like this might be threatening. So this doesn't look good for black. We have to move castles. We're still in this line, maybe rook e8 now by Fritz 11. And king b1 maybe. Bishop g4 and h4. What to do after h4? Maybe something like this, because now this doesn't work, because the bishop is defended, the knight is defending the bishop, so probably something like this. But then still maybe going just one step further, then maybe taking with the knight or with the bishop. Probably taking with the bishop. Pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes, and h6. And then the rook comes to the h file. Threatening bishop takes h6. So king here. Then maybe this one. But this doesn't threaten anything. This doesn't threaten anything. This doesn't threaten anything. So, what's the idea by white? Black seems pretty safe here, so probably something else than h4. Probably even something else than king b1. King b1 is not necessary yet. Okay, we have the move. We don't have to move rook e8. We have to move a5 immediately. Just maybe creating some attack on white's king. And now what? Maybe h4. Wait, let me think about all that. h4, a4, h5, a3. b3. Bishop takes c3. h3. But what does h3 threaten? Okay, we have to move h3. Maybe now continuing with the move a4. Then a3. Rook e8. g4. bishop to e6, rook to g1, b4. No, b4 you just take the b pawn. So, what to do here? Maybe knight here. Threaten the bishop. Knight takes, bishop takes, f4, f5, g5, g6. Well, this looks absolutely desperate. Desperate stuff. This looks absolutely winning for white. If you take there, then this cover check wins the bishop. So probably just going back with the bishop, but then simply this. And then maybe a g3. And it's not that clear how to break through. Okay, we don't have a4. So we have to move rook to e8. Maybe not g4 anyway. Maybe we could transpose into something like this. Or bishop to d7. Rook here. h3 looks terrible. h3 looks really terrible. So maybe trying for something like knight here, knight here, knight takes, pawn takes. I will take with the pawn so that you can take the f pawn if f4 is gonna happen. But then maybe g4. And h4, h5 is pretty fast. Yeah, we have to move g4 by Stockfish. h4, h5 is pretty fast. Followed by g3, g6. So what to do with black? This looks better for white. So okay, we have this move on the board. Yeah, maybe g6 just to give the bishop a square. Then not. Maybe not. Maybe g4. But then the bishop could take there. And after rook here, the bishop can go back and blockade everything. If h5, then maybe even something like rook takes and this one. Yeah, but well, you can go forward. I don't know if this... Oh, well, this could be good after that move. But this doesn't threaten mate, this is just a check. The king can go to f8, so you probably cannot sacrifice anything there. So, g6, h5, no h5, but rook to g1 first. Maybe. But then it's white's turn. Maybe white plays this one and threaten the h2 pawn. So king b1 maybe. And then I don't know, maybe black sorry. Maybe black sacrifices something. Let's see if something like this is going to work. Check. King here. Bishop takes there, and there is no defense against queen to b2 mate. So the king has to go there. Well, but then this is also mate. So maybe you cannot take the piece there. You have to go for something like a4. Then maybe knight here, knight takes, pawn takes, followed by queen d5, threatening here. So for example, h5. Of course you don't want to take this. Or maybe you can even take this. But then that one just takes a queen. I don't know, but there is, you can at least sacrifice a pawn there for the open file, and you cannot take here because rook takes here is just crushing after that. And there is no defense anymore. Maybe there is a defense. Maybe queen. Okay, we have a move. This is interesting. Maybe this defense check. Well, you can also put the bishop in front. Okay, but it's an idea to sacrifice a pawn here. But we have different kind of moves. We have to move g6, and now the move rook h to d1, to e1. So white is fully developed. Black has to make some moves here, some sensible moves. Maybe a4 or bishop to e6 are sensible, or b4. Maybe you can sacrifice a pawn even there. Let's see. Let's go with a4. a4, g4. Bishop goes back, h5. I would still go for something like this, because if ever this, then you can take en passant, and g5 is still on the cards. So probably something like this. Well. If you do this, takes. How is the material? White is a whole rook up, so okay, you cannot take this pawn. Have to go back, and now maybe h4. So, but if you want to play h4, why to put the rook on the e file? Why to put the rook on the e file when you want to play h4? Yeah, we have to move a4. Okay, a3. We also have a3 now. And b4, I don't know. Maybe knight here or knight here. Knight here probably. Takes. Well, then you have this bishop takes. It's covered attack on the queen. So you'd have to take with the bishop. But then maybe f4 followed by f5. And this looks to be very strong. There's some bishop move here. Threaten there, but just queen goes aside. And there's nothing. You can just exchange everything. But then you still have to worry about this kind of stuff right here. So I don't know. Okay, well, h4, f5. Maybe now. Maybe not b4. c6. Bishop there. Takes everything. This doesn't look right. This is just bad. Okay, we have a move here. Instead of knight to e5, we have the move. Fritz plays the move rook to a5. Defending on the 5th rank. Maybe king b1 now. Waiting move. Bishop d7. I don't see a sensible plan for both sides. But that's often the case by me. I don't know. I reach a very good opening position or a playable position, but when I have this position, I often don't see how to continue. But I will smoke a cigarette now while I'm commentating and analyzing this game. Hope you don't mind, but you won't smell anything, because it's just a video you watch. Okay, we have to move king b1. Now maybe bishop d7. Yeah, bishop d7 looks normal. Just to be maybe able to move the knight somewhere and push the b pawn, the b pawn, yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, we have bishop d7. Very interesting game. Opposite sides castling. Let's see both evaluation. I would think it's kind of equal. Kind of even. Okay, we have to move queen d2. We'll analyze this later. Stockfish thinks it's slightly better for white, and Fritz 11 thinks it's equal. So I don't know. I would also say maybe slightly better for white, but I kind of like this rook lift to a5. I didn't see this coming. Fritz is calculating. What? h5? Is Fritz crazy? h5 could never be played here. You just take, and then you opened up your own king. h5 is clearly not. Well, h5 you could take with a rook. Okay, h5. Let's see. h5 takes. Rook takes. Followed by rook to here. Maybe even rook takes this one. But I don't know. Maybe this is too crazy. Maybe you can even sacrifice a piece there. I don't know. Rook takes. King here. Rook there. And if ever rook takes knight, then this is gonna be checkmate, because the bishop is defending the rook, so you cannot take the knight. Yeah, Fritz really plays the move h5. Now I'm curious what Stockfish says about this. Stockfish immediately plays the move rook to g1 and thinks now it's much better for white. So this, yeah, this is also what I'm thinking. So not taking, but rook g1. If takes, then rook takes. If rook h5 going after the pawn, then maybe rook here. Rook takes h3, bishop takes, pawn takes, king takes, not king takes, rook takes. And where to put the king? Probably on f7. But then maybe this knight check. Bishop attacks the queen. Queen has to move. Let's say queen moves there. Then there is a queen check coming over there. And if ever king takes rook, then there is this check. Maybe black is surviving this somehow. Let's see what we have there. What is Fritz up to? Okay, we don't have to move rook takes and rook h5. Would be silly. We have to move rook h5. What is after c4? Maybe rook to... Cannot go there, cannot go there, cannot go there, cannot go there, cannot go there. Rook has to go back to a5. So what does you accomplish here? What have you accomplished there? Stockfish is calculating knight to d4. Knight takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, bishop takes here, pawn takes here, queen takes there. I don't know. Seems to me that Stockfish is a piece down. Knight here, knight takes. Maybe but this closes the position. You should never play this. Knight to d4. Knight takes d4. Maybe bishop there. Knight goes back, or knight even goes there. Bishop takes knight. No, not pawn takes, but bishop takes rather. Yeah, we have to move knight to d4. A piece sacrificed by Stockfish. So I'm back. Was on the toilet, sorry, and Fritz declines it. Fritz plays the move b3. Oh yeah, because if Yeah, now I see. Of course you cannot take, for example, bishop takes, and then the rook is hanging. So of course you cannot take the knight. It's not a sacrifice. b6, knight takes, bishop takes, maybe now f4, f5. f4, f5 looks pretty strong. What to do against this attack? Maybe some counter attack with b4. Then the rook again is hanging. Yeah, Fritz is here on the back foot, I have to say. I'd have to say this rook to d5, back to a5, provoke. Yeah, well, it provoked c4, so now the bishop scope is open. The bishop is now attacking this pawn, but how to go to this pawn? Maybe queen here. f5, b5. Queen takes here, sacrifice. Pawn takes, threatening mate and the bishop. Also this bishop is hanging, so you have to do something against the mate. And the only move I see against the mate is either c6, c3, or well, c3 doesn't work, you just take it, you have to go there. And then maybe pawn takes here, queen takes here, rook takes here, again threatening this pawn. And now the bishop, the pawn is interferes with the moves. Look over the square d4. So probably, I don't know, but it's an endgame. It's not like white got something. It's not like black got something, but maybe you can go for something like this. Also after that, queen takes, rook takes here immediately. Could be a threat. But now pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes. No, not bishop takes. Pawn takes pawn. Rook takes here maybe. Rook takes. Bishop takes there, attacking the rook. Yeah, well, this is all nonsense what I show you here. This f4, we have the move h takes, opening the h file. Okay, wow. H takes g4. Yeah, this attack should be strong, should be very strong, this h file attack. Now one rook comes to the h file, the other rook comes to the g file. This is how I would play it. And of course f5 at some point. And where is black's counterplay? I don't see a counterplay by black here. This looks pretty crushing to me. White's position is just superior. Let's see what Stockfish and Fritz are thinking about this position. 1.6 by Stockfish and 0.24 by Fritz 11. So yeah, I kind of believe in Stockfish here. This should be bad. d5 maybe here, breaking in the center. Pawn takes, bishop takes, but now you have this bishop takes here, followed by, no, you don't have this, because the bishop on e3 would hang. And now black is winning. So yeah, you could take, of course. Bishop takes. And now f5. g4. g5. Rook cannot go to the a file, to the h file, so probably not take this pawn. Probably f5 immediately, and then pawn takes, bishop takes, queen takes, bishop takes, Okay, the queen goes back to c1. So we don't have either of this. Queen goes back there. Takes, attacking the queen. Queen goes to b8, I think. Then maybe f5. No, queen goes here, attacking the bishop. Maybe now that move anyway. No. No, bishop has to go back. Or rook to e1. I don't know. Black's position can't be dismantled that easily. Okay, we don't have this. We have the move queen to d6. But now f5. But then this move is a double attack. No, it's not, because the queen is defending. But it's attacking the bishop. So the bishop has to move. Okay, the bishop moves immediately. After queen d6, the bishop moves to d2. What's the idea behind queen d6? Maybe now b5. Yeah, I don't know if white is that much better. Fritz is also playing sensible moves. Bishop d4. No, yeah, b5. Or bishop d4 attacking the rook. Maybe something like this even. Sacrificing the rook. Takes. Sacrificing yet another rook. Threatening checkmate, so f6 has to be played, but then this comes. Threatening checkmate again. So this comes, and now maybe something like this. Yeah, we have the move bishop to d4. So maybe a double rook sacrifice, because this attack looks... I don't know, you can never take this pawn, because this is mate. And bishop takes, pawn is threatened. You cannot move the rook because then to defend, because then this check followed by mate on f2 is threatened. So probably you have to give back one rook. Okay, but we don't have this rook sacrifice. It would be interesting though. We rather have the move rook to g3. We have the move rook to g3. Going there on the h file, and you cannot stop this. Probably taking here at any point, taking there. Now b5 maybe. Bishop here, b4. Yeah, but b4 you can just take it. Okay, so no b4. Yeah, this move also looks silly. So maybe rook a8 back, because the rook is attacked from the bishop. Just see this now. Rook here. followed by b5. No. Takes b5, but then bishop here. Takes, queen here, rook check, king takes, rook here, discovered check, winning the queen. Probably something like this, rook h3 now. This would be very tactical. So you're probably not gonna play b5 because of that move. So what else to do with black in this position? Yeah, black's position is pretty, I wouldn't say hopeless, but it's pretty, it's hard to defend with this open H file. Here we have this move rook to h3. Now I want to see both evaluations. 3.5 by Stockfish and 0.75 by Fritz 11. So it should be lost somehow. I believe Stockfish here in this position. What's the move? What's the move? Guess the move. Bishop here maybe? But then bishop there. This looks hopeless. So the bishop cannot move from this diagonal. Rook h1 is threatened. So you kind of have to take there. And then maybe rook here anyway. Bishop takes, queen takes. And now this bishop takes, bishop here, and if you take, you have a check. This is pretty lethal actually, so you cannot sacrifice everything here because this would lead to a mate by black. So there's no rook h1. So d takes, and now bishop takes. Threatening again this bishop here, because the bishop is pinned. So the queen has to move, probably queen here, to attack the bishop and defend his own bishop. What about sacrificing this bishop now? Rook here, is this so deadly? Takes, queen check, king here, and there is no more check. There is no more check, and this is threatened for it. Let's see if there is really a threat. Check. No, you have to play g5 before you do this. g5. I don't know, black is a rook up here, so but it's hard to defend. It's hard to defend. Maybe give something back. F3 check, king runs, but then maybe here check. Well, c5 was probably not the greatest of all moves. Queen here check, king here. This leads to nothing. So probably you cannot sacrifice piece there. But you have to play queen somewhere. Bishop g2, g7 is Fritz move. But what is after this? Attacking the queen? Getting rid of one more attacker. Yeah, but then you can defend with the rook. You can defend the h-file with the rook. Probably the bishop goes back, and now rook to h1. Rook takes, and you don't even have this. So, okay. Bishop g7 also might be a good move, but Fritz 11 plays that one. Let's see both evaluations. And let's see what Stockfish is calculating. Okay, Fritz also thinks it's now better. Let's see Stockfish's. Let's see Stockfish's variation for a short time. Yeah, in this variation Stockfish is just a lot of stuff up. Okay, just wanted to see this. We have this position on the board quite right now. The rook is attacked. Bishop c3 is calculated. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen somewhere. Let's say the queen goes there. No, the queen cannot go there, sorry. Let's say the queen goes there. This seems to be a sensible move. This square is covered, so here. Bishop takes pawn. Rook here. Threatens mate and the bishop. And the queen. Okay. So this is not what Fritz is intended. Fritz played the move c5. Now we have the move rook to h2, attacking the bishop. Bishop moves to e4. What now? What now? What now? What now? Bishop takes, pawn takes, of course. Maybe rook h1 now. Bishop takes, queen takes, king here, rook check, king there. Because if the king goes back, then new variation, rook check, king goes here, queen goes there, king goes there, queen goes there, checkmate. So this is kind of a desperate move. You don't take the rook. Why not? Check, check, checkmate here. Okay, I see why you don't take the rook, because you cannot defend against the mate anymore. But g5 is a desperate move. It's desperation time now. f5. You don't even take the pawn. Yeah, what is Fritz up to? I would take the rook and hope for the best. Queen f5, f4, okay. But let's see this position. Okay, this pawn is pinned. King cannot go up, because it's gonna be mated. No, probably not here. Probably rook takes. And queen here, could be a nice mate. Or this one just wins the queen. And this is winning for white, so king g7 doesn't work. Okay, we have a couple of moves there. We have the move g5, f4, and queen here. Now we have this check, check, king goes up. Oh no, wait, I lost the threat somehow. Queen f4, threatening to exchange queens. And now king here, here, here. What were the moves? It's somehow black's move. This position but black to move. What did I miss? What did I miss? Queen f4. Oh, and here the move queen here was played. Okay, now I got it. Yeah, and black's king has had it. That's over. That's over. Queen goes there. Let's see how Stockfish finishes the game. Also Fritz, I think, is now on +3, and Stock the Fish is on +9. So it's time to resign. Queen here check. King here should be a mate, isn't it? Yeah, it is. The king goes there, and now pawn up. If the queen takes the pawn, which didn't happen, and queen here, crossfire, and rook there pins the queen to the king. And if the king goes there, then this one, and the king has nowhere to go. And after all is said and done, this is a mate. So that's why you cannot take the pawn. That's why queen here was played. Rook here, king here, this is check. Rook here, and king there. Paw. This looks desperate. Bishop here check. Is it a mate now? No, but it's +19. So should be over. Bishop d5 is what Stockfish is calculating. Cannot go there, you have to go there. You could also take the pawn. New variation. Then maybe rook here check. Doesn't look that appealing. Maybe queen here check. Yeah, we have this check. Okay, here. You have two dark squares. Okay, you use that one. no rook there, and it's over. Fritz resigned the game, finally. Finally Fritz resigned the game. Was a nice game though. Short recap. Bishop f6 is a new move, apparently. Queen here. Castles, but this was not the mistake. G5, G4. Yeah, there were a lot of... Yeah, this move I like. This defending. But the move coming up, this I really don't like. Why in hell you want to play h5 in that position? Why? Just why? Okay. Rook g1. Rook here, c5, c4. Okay, provoke c4 to get this bishop's diagonal open. Kind of nice. Knight here, attacking the defender of the rook. So the rook is defended, and now the bishop. Yeah, but this is very hard. This is very hard. You have to see that you can sacrifice the rook there, but why didn't you take the rook? It's okay. Rook takes. I see that. Yeah, okay. Rook takes. Bishop takes rook. Rook takes here. Let's see. Here. Let's say you want to defend this square. And bishop here. Queen has to move somewhere. Probably queen here. Something. Queen here. Bishop takes. Bishop here attacking the queen. Queen here. Threatening mate and the queen, so it should be over. Yeah, okay, I see. You get a lot for the rook. No, you don't take the rook, of course not. Again, back, 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 back. The move was c5. Now attacking the bishop. Takes, rook here. g5, it's desperation. And finally, black took the rook. But this is just gone. All over the place. It's just gone. Let's see how Stockfish would finish off the king. Queen d1. Queen f5. g4. Bishop here. Rook here. Check. If the king goes there, then rook g3 check. Okay, you don't want to go into this discovery, so this check. Check here. Okay, giving up the queen. And now this is mate. If you don't give up the queen, then yeah, it's mate on g1. So that's why Fritz resigned the game after the move after that move right here. This is just analyzing. Okay, thanks for watching and see you next time. Ciao.